qui vont suivre, nous allons essayer d'appeler les participants à la brièveté, de manière à ce que nous profitions du temps qui nous reste. À présent, je voudrais passer la parole à l'ambassadeur Frederick Musllwa Makamure Shava, qui est le président du Conseil économique et social. Monsieur le Président, vous avez la parole.
Let me commence delivering his speech. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, let me take this opportunity to thank the African Union Office for organizing this important meeting focused on discussing the harnessing of the demographic dividend in the specific context of Africa. Let me also sincerely thank the organizers for inviting me to participate in this meeting and address you. Sustainable development goals are universal, indivisible, and interlinked. We can no longer afford approaches that thrive on silos. We require an integrated approach to policy formulation and implementation. This applies to the empowering of the youth and giving them space to realize their full potential. While many other regions of the world are aging, the African continent has the youngest population in the world, thereby positioning the continent to reap the rewards of the demographic dividend. However, for this to be a reality, several targeted and strategic investments must be undertaken in the areas of education, health, gender equality, infrastructure development, and industrialization that can bring about sustainable economic growth. Investment in the youth begins with access to quality education for both boys and girls. It requires development of skills that are relevant to the economy. African governments should promote the establishment of vocational training centers with the aim of imparting technical skills, knowledge, and ideas about business, finance, and commerce. It further requires policies that promote the health and well-being of all citizens, particularly the youth. The unprecedented rate of urbanization in Africa has brought with it great challenges in the form of inadequate urban infrastructure, such as housing, water and sanitation, transportation, electricity, the lack of decent employment opportunities, just to mention a few. It has also led to urban poverty and rising inequality. Cities account for at least 80% of the world's gross domestic product and can therefore be drivers of national economic growth and a means to combat poverty, generate decent work opportunities, and strengthen social cohesion. Increased investments in upgrading infrastructural facilities such as roads, water and energy facilities, and waste management can increase employment opportunities and stimulate growth. History of industrialized countries has shown that infrastructure development and industrialization can be great engines of economic growth and modernization. It is with this in mind that I chose innovations for infrastructure development and sustainable industrialization as the special focus of ECOSOC during the 2017 cycle. Our Agenda 2063 has identified the need to accelerate structural economic transformation of the continent through industrialization, manufacturing, value addition, high agricultural productivity, and transition of informal employment to formalized employment. African governments should set aside space for industrial infrastructure development, as this is key in creating jobs and opportunities for the youth. The continent should view its youth bulge as an engine for economic growth, job creation, and improved living standards of its people. Moreover, Africa should harness its demographic dividend to accelerate implementation of the priorities laid out in Agenda 2063 and the 2030 Agenda. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the youth are not only an important asset in transforming our societies, but strong partners in our efforts to realize the Sustainable Development Goals. Agenda 2030 requires an inclusive approach in which no one is left behind. This calls for the establishment of mechanisms that promote participation of the youth at all levels of decision making. I strongly encourage governments in Africa to continue involving the youth as well as youth-led agencies in shaping the Sustainable Development Agenda on the continent. As the youths have argued during the annual ECOSOC Youth Forum, they are not only leaders of the future, but also the present. They have strongly argued that decisions about them should not be made without them. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we should recognize the role of the youth in science, technology, and innovation, which are major drivers of economic development. The youth are the main innovators in our societies, and if given their due role, can be drivers of innovations, magnets for investment, and engines for economic growth. I thank you.
Avant d'introduire les deux panels qui vont suivre tout à l'heure, je voudrais appeler les prochains intervenants à la BFT, de manière à ce que nous puissions donner la parole au maximum de jeunes présents dans la salle. Sans plus tarder, je vais passer la parole à Sandra Apia de Face and Face Africa pour présenter le premier panel.
About the forum, I was just really excited, and I said, can we do this every year? Because I believe it's a very important platform, and we cannot talk about the future of Africa without talking about the youth of Africa. And there are so many